Hi book lovers, it's Lacey. Welcome back to my channel. I'm a little late with doing my September book haul. I usually like to do wrap-ups and book hauls as close as possible towards the end of the month. So this one is just a week late, but here it is. I also spent like the last 10 minutes finding the one last book that I needed for this book haul. I found it, so let's just get started. I got a bunch of good ARCs, some finished copies, and I bought myself like 2 books last month. That was for a book signing. I'll talk about it a little bit later in this video. So let's get started with the books that we're most excited about, which are the ARCs. I'll start with the ones that aren't released yet. I may have screamed a little bit when I opened this package, and that is an ARC of Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. It is so pretty. I really love this cover, like the paper of the U. That's just so eye-catching. I love it. I've really been enjoying Colleen Hoover's latest covers. They're not, you know, people covers anymore, but then again, they're not really like traditional romances anymore, so that makes sense to me. Regretting You won't be out until December 10th. I don't think if it's classified as a romance. The blurb tells us that it's a mother-daughter story, so like 2 stories, 2 paths within this book. We follow the mother, we follow her daughter's stories. So I'm interested mainly because it's Colleen Hoover, right? I will forever love Colleen Hoover for introducing me to like indie books, to new adult. I do still prefer her earlier works rather than her newest ones, just because those were like actually romances. But I do have high hopes for this one. I've heard really great things from people who have already read some early copies. So yes, it's a mother-daughter story. I'm sure the writing will be fantastic because it's Colleen Hoover. I always love her writing. It's beautiful, but at the same time she does inject a little bit of humor into her works, and I love that, and hopefully I'll get to this one soon. Next up is a sports romance ARC from an author that I love, and that is Blitzed by Alexa Martin. This is, I don't remember the series name, but all of her 3 books so far are all interconnected. They're all standalones, different couples, but they're all about, you know, sports romances, like the same football team. I really enjoy Alexa Martin's books. They're so sweet, but they also give us the realities of professional football, that whole like athletic world, because the author is a former WAG, Wives and Girlfriends. She was the wife of a professional football player, and I love that insight into this world because it's a world that I probably will never experience myself. So Blitzed is the 3rd book of Alexa Martin's, and this is Maxwell's story. Maxwell has pretty much the fight of his life to try to convince the heroine, Bryn, to take a chance on him and give, you know, a relationship between them a try. Bryn is the owner of the bar that's really popular with Maxwell's football team, the Denver Mustangs. I actually really love these kinds of romances where the heroine is a little guarded, she has her walls up, and it's on the hero to try to break down those walls. I'm really excited for this one. I expect it to be super sweet like her other books have been. The blurb actually mentions that Maxwell has a very shy smile, so hopefully he'll be more of a beta hero than an alpha one, which I'm really looking forward to. This next ARC is actually the first one that I got. That is a 2020 release, which is crazy that we're already at this point, and that is Love Lettering by Kate Claiborne. Kate Claiborne is a new to me author, but I've heard amazing things about her books. I have this one series, one of her popular series, on my Kindle that I really need to read sometime soon, but this one sounds amazing. I love the cover, I love the premise. The heroine is a professional hand letterer, like she does journals, cards, things like that. But also she reads signs on the side, which is interesting. So she reads signs for this one couple that is engaged to be married, and she sees that they're not going to make it. 1 year later, the former groom, who is no longer a groom, that marriage did not work. I don't think the wedding even finished. The hero tracks down the heroine and is trying to find out how exactly she knew that his engagement wasn't going to work out. I love this premise mainly because I've never read anything like it, so I'm really excited to dive into this one. Next is a Christmas romance. I got quite a few this month, but this one is an arc not out until the end of October, and that is All I Want for Christmas Is You by Miranda Liasson, or Liasson, not sure how to pronounce her last name, but this cover is absolutely adorable. Just look at this pup. Lots of Christmas, obviously. So this Christmas romance has a bunch of different romance tropes that I am very into. So it's friends to lovers, but it also has unrequited love. The heroine has had a crush on the hero for the longest time, and finally, after they share one awesome night together, it turns out that she is pregnant. So accidental pregnancy, check. And also apparently everyone in town thinks that they're engaged, so they need to continue with their fake relationship. So this one sounds great. It also has a hero who is very anti-relationship, which is not exactly my favorite, but I will accept it because all the other tropes in this one sound amazing. So the next arc that I got is a cowboy romance. I don't really read too many of these types of romances, but I have enjoyed a couple of the ones that I have read, and that is My One and Only Cowboy by A.J. Pine. In this one, the heroine, after a divorce, she's trying to reclaim her land and her ranch that her ex sold, and of course she runs into the cowboy hero who claims that the ranch is his own ranch. So lots of, ranch life, cowboy goodness. I have read another book by A.J. Pine, I think her last cowboy release. I like that one. It was okay, not bad. I think it was a second chance romance, which was why I wanted to read it. This one, the blurb doesn't exactly wow me, but hopefully, it'll make me love it. The last romance arc that I got last month in September is a romantic suspense, and that is Lethal Redemption by April Hunt. This one is a second chance romance and a fake relationship. The heroine is a top FBI profiler, and her latest mission, she has to pretend to be the fiance of the only guy that ever broke her heart. I really hope that there's a lot of groveling in this one, just because the hero is the one who turned his back on the heroine, never looked back after 9 years, so yes, I expect a lot of groveling, a lot of making up to do. I personally don't read too many of this subgenre, but the second chance romance in this one has me intrigued. These next few arcs are the ones that have already been released. This first one is a fantasy romance, and it is by G.A. Aiken, and it is the first in her new series, The Blacksmith Queen. In this one, the heroine is a blacksmith, and her younger sister is the chosen one to become the queen of their kingdom. They are not actually of royal blood, and the ones who are, like the former king's sons, are trying to kill that younger sister, so the heroine has to protect her from them. She also gets some help from these mountain warriors who wear kilts, which I don't mind at all. I mean, if you're gonna have a blurb with the words kilt wearing mountain men, I'm probably going to read it. So yes, really looking forward to this one. It is the first in a new series. I'm not sure if the other books in the series will continue with the same couple. Probably not, I'm not sure. I have read J.A. Aiken before, one of her dragon romance series. I read like some random number in the middle of the series, so I was a little bit lost, but I actually still enjoyed it. It was surprisingly really funny. I was not expecting all the humor that went into it, so maybe this one will also be a little bit funny. My next book is one that I've heard really great things about, and that is Don't You Forget About Me by Myri McFarlane. This one is a second chance romance, but apparently the guy doesn't remember the heroine, so I'm not sure how I feel about that. But at the same time, Kay Tucker did it with her latest release, so maybe I'll love this as much as I did Say You Still Love Me. The heroine in this one has had some really bad luck. She just got fired from her job, and she just caught her boyfriend cheating on her. So she, is pretty down on her luck. and she runs into the guy that she used to be in love with years ago, and he doesn't even remember her. It sounds very rom-com-y. I love the cover, love when there's, you know, pets on the covers, and I need to read this one soon. I didn't expect to get this next arc, mainly because I already got the finished copy of it. This one is Wrapped Up in You by Jill Shalvis. This is the art copy, but it is signed, so obviously I'm going to keep it. I read this one last month. I talk about it in my wrap-up, so you can check out that video if you haven't already watched it. This is a Christmas romance. I really enjoyed it. It was sweet, heartwarming, all the Christmas cozy feels. These next two were for some Instagram tours that I joined. The first one is Fallen by Rebecca Zanetti, and then the next one is The Stylist Takes Manhattan by Rosie Nixon. This one is like your rom-com-y fiction book. The blurb kind of reminds me of something by Sophie Kinsella. And then Fallen is a romantic suspense. It's got secret ops, bodyguards, a fake engagement. I've heard great things about the first book in the series actually. This is the second book, so if you love romantic suspense, Rebecca Zanetti is definitely someone to check out. Let's move on to the finished copies section of this video. These are the finished copies that I received from publishers. A few have already been released, and of course I got even more Christmas romances. So first up are books that I got from Berkeley. The first one is A Cowboy Under the Mistletoe by Jessica Clare. I love Jessica Clare. I love her Billionaire series. She has two of them. They're both so much fun to read. If you want a hero who is just a little bit obsessed with the heroine, definitely check those ones out. So this one is the third book in her new cowboy romance series. I have not read the other ones. I think she also has another Christmas one in this cowboy romance series. In this one, the hero is a former military man dealing with PTSD, and he, as a favor, takes a job as a cowboy at a ranch, and he knows nothing, next to nothing about how to be a cowboy, how to be a rancher, and the heroine is the one who has to teach him how to be a cowboy. I really love that premise. Really hoping that I get to this one soon. This next one from Berkeley is Jasmine Gilroy's newest release. It's Christmas, it's got older characters, it's fringing on a royalty kind of romance. I really love this cover. I'm not exactly sure this author is for me though, just because I struggle so much with her writing. Couldn't even finish her first book, but we'll see about this one. This next one from Berkeley is Faker, the finished copy by Sarah Smith. So I read this one last weekend and I sadly did not like it very much. Probably going to give it 2.5 stars. I love the premise of this one. It's enemies to lovers, office romance, construction related, but sadly the execution just fell very, very short. I did not like these characters. The romance played out in a way that just didn't work for me. I'm really sad I didn't enjoy this more because I had high hopes, but a lot of people also did love this one. I feel like a lot of people either loved it or hated it. I fell on the latter category, even though I didn't exactly hate it, but it was like not very good. And of course, a finished copy by one of my faves, Nalini Singh. This one is her newest Guild Hunter book, Archangel's War. We're back with Elena and Raphael in this one. I can't really talk about it without talking about spoilers, so I'll just leave it at that. If you haven't read this urban fantasy series, highly, highly recommend it. Nalini Singh is amazing. I love her world building. This one has vampires and angels, archangels. So it's super cool, super epic. I just love it so much. I also got some historical romances from Avon last month. And first up is How the Duke Stole Christmas. This one is an anthology by 4 awesome historical romance authors. I've only read 3 of them though: Tessa Dare, Sarah McLean, and Sophie Jordan. Joanna Shoup is new to me, but I do own a couple of her books. Just haven't gotten to them yet. But this one, Christmas anthology, obviously. Each story is actually based off a rom-com holiday movie, which I think is awesome. Even though I kind of suck at things when it comes to movies, I have so many movies that my friends are like why haven't you already watched them? So I probably won't even be able to recognize any of the movies that these stories are based off of. This next one is one that I already talked about in my wrap up, and that is When the Marquis Was Mine. This was an okay read, my first from this author. I do want to read more, but this one just didn't wow me. I'll leave a link to my review on my blog for this one in the description below. But this one has like the amnesia trope, the fake relationship trope. So if you're into that, maybe give this one a try. This next one is a sci-fi fantasy romance, and it's Aurora Blazing by Jessie Mihalik. I have super high hopes for this one just because it sounds awesome. The heroine is a space princess of all things, right? And she has a new bodyguard who is also her ex-boyfriend, her first love. So there's a second chance romance there. I've heard it's full of action, the romance is on point. I'm really looking forward to this one. This one has everything that I'm interested in, and I need to read it soon. I'll go through these next few a little bit quickly just because they're not exactly romance related. So first are the finished copies of the Origin series, the first 2 books. The Darkest Star is book 1, and then The Burning Shadow is book 2, which is out this week. I actually really loved The Darkest Star. I read it last year, really enjoyed it. This is the spin-off of the Lux series by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I need to read The Burning Shadow soon. I also got the finished copy of The Beautiful by Renee Ahdieh. It's got vampires, but apparently there aren't a lot of vampires in this one, so I'm not exactly as excited as I was before, but the copy is just gorgeous. I love it, both outside and the inside. So pretty. I received The Kingdom of Copper by S.A. Chakraborty. This is the sequel to City of Brass. It's like an epic fantasy series. This is the paperback edition. The hardcover released, earlier this year. This one I got for an Instagram tour. And the last book before we go back to my romances, this is Jojo Moyes, her new book, The Giver of Stars, and this one is releasing like either October or November. It's a historical fiction set during the Depression era, so very different from her Me Before You books. So back to my romances. This next one is Frost and Flame by Gina Showalter. I love Gina Showalter, even though I've only read a few of her paranormals. I love her contemporaries though, but her paranormals, the Lords of the Underworld series, I really enjoyed. This one is book 2 in the Gods of War series. It sounds awesome. I did not read the first book yet, but in this one the heroine is destined to rule as the Queen of Beasts, so I am already sold. I got another Christmas romance from a publisher, also a fake relationship trope, and that is The Trouble with Christmas by Amy Andrews. I have not read this author yet, but the blurb sounds really cute and really fun. The heroine kind of blurts out that her boyfriend really loves Christmas, and so she tries to get her landlord to pretend to be that boyfriend, and he's very much not into Christmas. And I got one of my favorite books of all time, my top favorite Mafia romance series, the first book in that series, and that is Monster in His Eyes by J.M. Darhauer. This was actually sent to me from Jessica, Peace Love Books. So thank you, Jessica. I love it. I've been wanting to get myself a copy of this series, so glad to have this one. If you haven't read the Monster in His Eyes series, do it. I am obsessed with it. Book 2 is my favorite. It like blew my mind. This one has mafia, slightly forbidden romance, age gap for sure. He's like twice her age almost. I talk about this one in one of my other videos, my Dark Heroes video, so I'll leave that one in the description below. But yes, you all need to be reading this one. Whether or not you love mafia romances, it is just amazing. I also got this box, this package from Source Books. The book is The Shop on Main Street by Carolyn Brown, but what really, shocked me about this box was that they sent a garter along with it. I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with this. I'm not getting married anytime soon, but I appreciate the thought. It does make sense with the book though, because the heroine in this one is a lingerie shop owner. So, I mean, it's not out of left field, but still, I was a little bit shook when I opened this and saw this. So these next two books are books that I bought for myself. I bought them at the Penny Reid signing that happened last month at the Ripped Bodice in LA. Obviously, I had to get myself Penny Reid's new release, Beard With Me. This is like book 6. This is book 6 in the Winston Brothers series, like the beginning of Billy and Scarlett / Claire's book. Scarlett and Claire are the same person, just different names. But this is like their origin story, the story that takes place when they are teenagers and how they first met and fell in love. I love this one so much. And the hype for Beard Necessities, which is like the sequel to this one, is so real. I can't wait for it. I just love the Winston Brothers series so much. I love these brothers. I love this family. It's just so much fun, so good. Highly recommend it. Also, Penny said sorry for the tears. Because yes, this book was quite heartbreaking. And then I also got myself another book at the Ripped Bodice, not Penny Reid's, but I've been wanting to get this book for the longest time. I've been trying to find a copy of it, a used copy of it, at used bookstores. Have not had luck finding it, so I was like, okay, fine, I'll just buy the new copy. And that is Suddenly You by Lisa Kleypas. This is my absolute favorite standalone of Lisa Kleypas's so far. Obviously, I love her series, The Hathaways, The Ravenels, so good. But this one as a standalone is perfection. It's a historical romance and it's got the best meet cute ever. The heroine hires herself like a male prostitute, a male escort, to get rid of her virginity. And the guy who shows up is not the escort, but she doesn't know that. And he doesn't know that she has hired an escort to get rid of her virginity. He's there because he is the owner of a publisher and he wants to publish her books, her works. Eventually, of course, they realize who they really are. The heroine is embarrassed, the hero is not, and he very much wants to claim the heroine for himself. I love this book. I love Jack so much. He is so swoony. He is definitely one of Lisa Kleypas's rougher heroes. Amanda as a heroine was fantastic. I loved her character. This book was charming, so sexy. I loved it so much. And obviously I had to get myself a copy when I saw it on the shelves at the Ripped Bodice. So that is it for my book haul for September 2019. Got some really great books that I'm excited to read. Let me know if you read any of these, if you're looking forward to any of these, any thoughts on these authors I would love to hear about. As always, I'll leave links to all of these books in the description below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.